Welcome to the 6th edition of the Newport News Police Department's 21st Century Policing Conversations. I'm Lieutenant Jerry Hairston.
And I'm Sergeant Thomas Peregrine.
And we're with the Newport News Police Department's Internal Affairs Division.
So today we're going to spend a few minutes talking about the program, and then we invite you to join us for a question and answer session about internal affairs on Thursday, which will be streamed on the Newport News Police Department's Facebook page.
What we want to talk about this morning is about internal affairs and the things that we do and operate as a unit with the Newport News Police Department. One thing, if you're watching television all the time, you see things about internal affairs. Forget all that. It's not like that. We are an organization where we are professionals, and we expect our officers to be professionals, and we are geared towards being respectful at all times to our citizens. And that's one thing that we are very proud of, that we get out here and interact with our citizens, but be respectful, whether they're on the wrong side of the law or not, be respectful.
So just to kind of piggyback off of what Lieutenant Hairston was saying, here over in the Internal Affairs Division, we conduct the internal administrative investigations on police personnel. With that being in mind, the majority of the complaints that we investigate here often result from interactions with officers and the citizens, such as a demeanor complaint. A citizen wants to complain on an officer for being rude. And another thing is also that we look at any violations of any of our policies and procedures as well. I'd like to be upfront about this, that every complaint we take here in the Newport News Police Department gets filed and it gets investigated. And we do those in several different ways. So usually a citizen would come down to police headquarters in person and file a complaint. We have capabilities to go online to the Newport News Police Department's website, file a complaint that way. We've received complaints from directly either from the chief's office, or we get them directly through here. I think our phone number is actually published on the website as well. But other than the citizen complaints, we also get complaints within the department. Believe it or not, we'd have officers or supervisors who report stuff to us that we would actually investigate as well, the same way we would with a citizen's complaint.
And as Sergeant Peregrine stated, all complaints are investigated, and we all give them to the Chief of Police, Chief Drew, to review at the end of our investigations. We show no favoritism or anything towards any complaint. We investigate everything, and we will give you information on the investigation after the investigation completed. And one thing that we also have is the body cameras. Everyone in the department, every police officer in the department has a body camera, especially those that are out on the street and patrol units. So that is a main cog that we have that can help or hurt the police officer. And we always tell them what you say matters and how you say matters when you're dealing with the public.
So, and with the body cameras in mind, once again, I kind of reiterate, the most common complaints that we get from a citizen usually often is about the demeanor of an officer during their interaction with them. So the body camera is a useful tool because after reviewing that footage, we're able to determine at that point would in fact the complaint be substantiated or unsubstantiated. What I will say is regardless of the results of that investigation, we do contact the citizen to follow up with them to let them know the outcome of that investigation. And a lot of times, if we can get a hold of them through the phones, we would call them and speak with them directly. If not, we would definitely mail them a letter through the mail that would actually come from the chief's office that would explain the disposition of that investigation and also have a phone number to contact us if there were any questions to follow up with. Another thing that we investigate here, which we'll go into, is the use of force.
When we're discussing the use of force, unfortunately, when we deal with citizens, some citizens do not like police, or some citizens overreact when dealing with police, and force has to be used in order to get them detained. So we have a use of force review board where, again, we're talking the body cams, how important it is. So the use of force review board consists of 4 civilians and 4 officers who review these use of force incidents. And what they do, from looking at that, they determine whether or not it's within policy, not within policy. Is there additional training that the officer needs to go through? And that's very important to have that citizen sit in and see exactly uncut video of what's going on the streets.
So with that, keep that in mind with the Use of Force Review Board. One of the tasks we have here in the Internal Affairs Division, from myself, for example, as an investigator, is my duties would be to compile what we have for those use of force reports, basically conduct an investigation here administratively and compile everything we have, including body camera video, statements, anything if the individual that force was used on was arrested. And then we here at the Internal Affairs Division are the ones that put that together to present at the Use of Force Review Board. So keep that in mind with the transparency. We show these videos. When we say that they're unedited, they are unedited. Sometimes we would have to cut them due to time, but we do not edit any of the content such as language, any of the force used whatsoever. The citizens and the officers that are on the review board get to see all of that, and including photographs of any injuries that were sustained.
When we're talking again about the use of force, there's also excessive use of force, which is not tolerated within our department. When this happens, this turns into not an administrative investigation from Internal Affairs. It turns into a criminal matter where we'll have the criminal investigators look into this, and it also goes into the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, where there are possible criminal charges that could be placed upon the officer.
So keeping in mind what Lieutenant Hairston had touched on, so not only with the Use of Force Review Board, but also with any of the administrative or internal investigations that we conduct here, at any time if it's determined that an officer may have conducted any kind of criminal offense, that would get investigated separately still through a criminal investigation, and that investigation would then be referred to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office to determine if there's going to be any prosecution in that matter. We still concurrently would conduct that administrative investigation just to make sure that we're keeping track that our officers are keeping within our policies and our procedures, that they're enforcing the law while also maintaining an individual's rights, keeping that in mind that we're not violating anyone's rights while we're conducting our business.
When we're again discussing the use of force, one thing we want you all to know is that even if a officer is cleared of any wrongdoing or what have you in the use of force, sometimes we look at the fact that there may be some training issues that have to be conducted. And with that, we refer everything that we feel that from the Use of Force Review Board, we send that to the training department, and they will take whatever classes or more training that is needed in whatever situation and go from there in reference to assisting the officer with doing the right things. In the City of Newport News, we have several interactions with citizens. And one thing I want to discuss right now is talking about statistics. In 2018, the department received over 160,000 calls for service. That means citizens are calling, requesting the police to come to assist them with whatever that's going on. And out of those 160+ thousand calls for service that we've had in 2018, there were only 108 complaints against Newport News police officers. In 2019, they had over 181,000 calls for service and only 86 complaints on the officers that responded to those incidents. That was a 20% decrease from 2018.
Okay, just to reiterate earlier from what we said earlier about how citizens can go about filing a complaint, just to kind of wrap this up, this is just a reminder that there are several ways to file a complaint with the Newport News Police Department. And also a reminder that you can also file a commendation as well. So we have a website, it's nnva.gov/police. You can click on the commendations or the citizens complaints icon on the left navigation bar, or you can call us directly here at the Internal Affairs Office at 757-928-4325. I just want to remind you that if you are unhappy about an officer's behavior during an encounter, it's best for all parties to deal with it after the encounter, which could possibly mean also in a court of law. I do believe that with that cooperation that we have from the citizens, we can together reduce the number of complaints that we have and the numbers of use of force we have here in the City of Newport News. Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us. Again, if you have any questions about the Newport News Police Department's Internal Affairs Division, be sure to join us on the Newport News Police Department's Facebook page on Thursday. And we'll be more than happy to answer any of the questions that you may have. Again, thank you.
Thank you.